Last week you correctly identified my belief and thought to be one of the things which would prevent awakening. Dropping the belief has meant fear and pain has emerged. It seems like the fear of death and the fear of what others believe might emerge. What is the next step? You've come to the right place. I know all the steps. So let me just go over the question again. Last week you correctly identified my belief in thought to be one of the things which would prevent awakening. Very astute of me. Dropping the belief has meant fear and pain has emerged. It seems like the fear of death and the fear of what others believe might emerge. What is the next step? What is the next step? Well, what is the next step? What is the next step? It's like, being back at school when the teachers ask me, what is a fraction divided by 5/8? I think I've got to re-ask myself a question in a different way, because I think that question potentially is wrong. So rather than the fact that I can't think of anything, let's just go and change the question. So let's put it into so you've stopped thinking. You've stopped identifying with trying to find the answer of fear in thinking, and then there's fear of death appearing. So you just got to sit with it. You just got to stay with it. Just let that come up and see it's not true. So the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree for 40 years. And another 40 years, for 40 days and 40 nights. So the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree, and Maya presented itself in heaven and hell, and the Buddha did not move. I mean, this story says it all. What more does anyone want than that story? That says it all. It's so freaking profound. I love that story. Maya presented heaven and hell, virgins, virgin women, virgin men, wars, trophies, winning, money, success, loneliness, desolation, all these things. Maya, which is mind or illusion, not just mind, illusion presented. So you now have a feeling of death and you have a feeling of fear, and that's all it freaking is a feeling. It's not true. It's not reality. The Buddha sat under Bodhi tree for 40 days and 40 nights, and Maya presented itself, and the Buddha did not move. So you have a feeling, and you're moving into the feeling, and you're hating the feeling, and you're wanting to get away from the feeling. But what does the Buddha mean? If you look up what they say in Buddhism, what the Buddha means that still presence of consciousness. And when the Buddha got up from the tree, everyone said to him, what happened? He said, nothing happened. Who you are is nothing, and yet everything happened. So the Buddha did not move out of who he truly was, and the illusion presented itself, the feelings. How do we experience war? We experience it through sight, through sound, and also our feelings. And our feelings are the biggest thing. So we see war or we see death and destruction, and our feeling is like, "Aah!" And then we believe it has some reality in it, but it's not true. It's a feeling, it's a sensation, it's a cloud that comes up and passes. And the seeking energy holds on to that feeling to try to get away from it. So it holds on to the feeling, making it feel like you exist, and it tries to move away from the feeling. But notice it has to hold on to something. In order to try to get away from something, you have to hold on to what you're trying to get away from. Otherwise, you'll have got away from it. And that's what the seeking energy does. It's always trying to get to something or get away from something. And you're solidifying it as you try to get away from it. It's all illusion. And you're looking for the way, but even looking for the way is illusory. Because that's something moving, that's something not true. Who is looking for the way? Who is looking for freedom? Who is looking for something to do? She's like, I've got to sit under a tree. That's what she's telling me to do. I'm not even saying that, but it most probably would be pretty healthy for a lot of you, is to go and sit under a tree for 40 days and 40 nights. You can take a snack and a drink. Make sure you've got some pepper spray if you're out in the forest or something, or somewhere really remote, particularly if there's bears or lions. Very big, gigantic ants could be good to have. But I'd recommend it. Go and sit under a tree. Do something different rather than going to your job every day. Rather than doing the same thing every day. Do something different. See what happens. Be prepared to risk things. I didn't get here from staying safe. That was not what happened. I certainly didn't stay safe. I risked everything for this. Everything. And I can feel that life's always wanting me to do that. Always. Like everything that I have is not mine. So even like now after that big awakening, now life is always saying to me, don't hold on to any of this. So it gives me a dog, which is not the easiest of dogs. And I have to work hard to keep her safe. I moved to France just as the exit from the European Union is happening in England. So I have no idea what my visa future is going to be. I presume it will be fine, but God knows, just as I'm buying a house, just as I settle here, that all happens. And nobody really says for the last 2 or 3 years what's going to happen to people like me. Everyone's like, we'll most probably be okay, but we don't know. This job, this is just constantly, being put on the internet, being a public figure. My finances, I'm really not a business person, and I run a business. God knows if I'm going to get money next month or the month after. Who knows? I don't have these business proposals that lines it out and says this is how much money you're going to get. I just rely on it may be happening.